Hey YouTube, it's Petey, and talking about do-it-yourself guitar pedal resources. As far as purchasing PCBs, I really like pedalpcb.com. They're not cheap, but they have a really great package as far as the quality of the product, quality of the information for each project is usually pretty complete. There's a forum where you can get help. And they also seem to come out with new products all the time, so they stay pretty hip. Um, Now, there's all sorts of places where you can purchase guitar PCBs, guitar effect pedal PCBs. Another one that I'm rather fond of is Aeon FX. Um, and has some really neato keen projects. This is really cool, man. I would love to do one of those. But yeah, they have they're known as a really high quality experience. Going um, completely to the more extreme aspect of the difficulty spectrum, um, or I don't want to say difficulty, I should say complicated or challenging perhaps, but dead end effects has some really cool projects. And they've got this guy, Pink Jimmy Photon. What more do you want? Uh, as far as budget or 59dB, if you're looking for small, like really small real estate, tiny, efficient, perfect little PCBs, this place, Delic, has a deal for you. They have the coolest utility boards. Typically, if you're going to do a JFET project and it's multiple JFETs, you will realize that the stuff that's being sold is fakes. You have to get these SMT, these tiny versions, which require an adapter board. And he's selling these adapter boards for 65 cents. Typically, these are like $2 or something ridiculous to get one of these little square guys here. You solder this part onto here, and then it goes into the through hole with these conveniently located slots. So it's something to consider. Also, he's got his other effects that he sells. There is some really cool stuff here. Um, but as a discount place or smaller PCBs um, and deals. But if you're doing anything with JFETs, I recommend you just stock up on the adapter boards and then stock up on the actual JFETs. I went and got them from Germany. I got a whole strip of SMT. They come in this really cool strip container, and you pop them out with a hobby knife. I do like Delic. There's a bunch of other PCB places. Some that I really don't like. I haven't had the best luck with all the services. One time I ran into a Big Muff clone where if you turned up all the knobs on the pedal, it squealed. And that was not any fault of, like, this isn't good squealing, good Hendrix feedback. This was bad, bad squealing. Um, Basically, the PCB was a bad design. The guy had a 5 high gain transistors crammed into a tiny little area, and it was just building a squeak machine, a really shrill sounding, horrible type of squealing feedback. And this was, of course, if you do get involved in the building pedals, you'll run into this phenomenon of everyone who plays guitar wants to be your friend, and they start asking you to build stuff and only pay you $3 or $30 per pedal. So I was actually forced into a corner to build this guy a Big Muff that turned out to be a squeal machine. And if you've ever purchased or seen a circuit where on the back side of it, every 6 inches or so, there is tacked on lovingly another one of these little capacitors that looks like this, these little orange guys. Well, those are there to tame a circuit from unwanted feedback oscillation. And they basically neuter the circuit. They remove all of the good high frequencies. Not cool. FuzzDog, they have a good selection, smaller boards. They have pretty good information with the PDF file that you download with each one of these. They sell kits. You can get everything from them. I only buy just single PCBs from him, and I get stuff I can't find anywhere else. Or, I mean, it's overseas, but I don't mind FuzzDog. Love my switches. This place has parts, and you can save money and get some really cool stuff that you can't get at Tata from Love My Switches, which used to be called Bitches Love My Switches, but they changed the name. How do you like that? This place is full of awesome pedal parts, but I don't think they sell PCBs. Now, really, I can't go anywhere without mentioning Tata, where people seem to like to purchase. You can get everything at Tata. Tata has, like, it would be one idea to just go to their PCBs and purchase PCB direct from Tata, and they sell everything. They sell the box pre-powder coated with the holes drilled in it perfectly. They sell the knobs, the stop switch, the resistors, capacitors, transistors, diodes, LEDs, op amps, transistors, power sockets, input output jack, volume control potentiometer, stop switch, you name it, they have all of it at Tata. So if you go through this, if you're looking to build a pedal, you could go through this list. Let's say the one that I really like is, oh, there's a Rangemaster. See, that's the thing. If it's a one transistor low parts count project, you could just build it on Vero. You could go to DIYFX, and they have these layouts here where you buy the Vero board, strip board, which there's different ways of doing it. There's like perf board, there's tag board, but really Vero, this is it, the Vero layouts. This is what you're going to want to do. You have to do these cuts and these little jumper wires. This is a more complicated unit, but pedal building is all about learning the skill of Vero. It's all about learning how to do this, and you get those layouts for free from DIYFX. If the project has a couple integrated circuit chips, it's going to be more challenging to build on Vero. And if they just sell a PCB, you can just buy the PCB and save yourself the misery of doing all this work here, which is cutting this to size and then putting cuts in all these spots and wires in all of these lines. This is soldered in here. This is a double solder mark there, another double solder. So it's a skill, and what you're hoping for is the first time you test this after you finish it for it to work, but it never does. There's always troubleshooting where you got to go back and reheat all the soldering irons and look for bad spots, touch it up, and you'll eventually get it going. The chances of a PCB working right the first time are way higher. But you have to be careful when it comes to the external wiring. But as far as purchasing PCBs, I really like this company. They have a huge selection and they're always having new pedals, and the information, like, I can't stress to you having a support group, having a good build document, because if it's like this pedal company, their first language is not English, I wouldn't recommend that unless you're an experienced builder and you have all kinds of additional information about that project. So information and having proper documentation and trusting in the board is verified, because I've had experiences where I've bought boards from places where they left information out, or I've had a kit where they sent the bad parts, wrong parts, missing information off of the build guide is par for the course. Par for the course. These are dudes who are doing this hobby. It's not women doing it. So they leave a lot to be figured out on your own. That's the favorite thing to do. And then there's other companies where, like, if you do have to bias it, they'll put another pad off to the side and have it'll say bias, and you'll know, well, that's where you hook your meter up. You won't have to be like a semi-expert and figure out that really, in order to bias it, you have to go on this point here with the red probe on your multimeter and the black probe on the multimeter going here, and then setting it to volts and twisting one of these adjusters to get it to half of the input voltage is a good starting point. If you're it looks here like this has a voltage doubler, so that's going to be 9-volt coming in and 18-volt coming out, or maybe it's going to be reverse polarity. I'm not exactly sure, but there is adjustment guys here. Like I said, you can rest assured, because the build document, it has the version number, which is important that matches. This has the full bill of materials. This is how you order the parts. And then here is the schematic diagram. That could be helpful for troubleshooting it. And that's the thing about that I don't like about this company. They do not tell you in the build document what the adjustments are. You have to go to their forum, I guess, and in the forum that people will be asking and talking about it. Because, like, if you typically, if there's these little adjusters that sit on the board, you have to adjust these internal trim pots and connect your meter to a certain point and get a certain voltage. So they assume that you're just going to do that by ear, or figure it out on your own. That's the one thing I don't like about this company. I usually will look it up on the forum or look at other people talking about it. Like this is called a sunflower, but it's actually, what is it? Um, it's the analog man sun face. So this is uh, it's a fuzz. Is it a fuzz face? It's a fuzz face with a uh, very specific transistor. Yeah, they're so this guy bias did it to zero point 0.7 volts, which that's recommended for a fuzz face. It's not 4.5 volts, half of 9. You do it to zero point 0.7. But then yeah, you see here the emitter of Q2. So that's that other of S2. There was R2 and these two trimmers. So, like I said, in the comments section, the people are talking about the numbers that the missing numbers that are missing from the build document. So this is what I don't like about pedal PCB is that they don't put the information about setting up the circuit or adjusting it or biasing it on the build document. They leave it up to you to find that. And sure enough, there it is in the comments right here on the page. But other than that, like their product is really good. And the information is always spot on. And the stuff just sounds fantastic. I really like pedal PCB. Now, I've had experience with other companies. There's a lot of other companies that sell much lower quality crap. Okay? AN is not one of those companies, and they have really cool projects. I like this Delic, but this is a budget place. He has some deals here. This is a place to look for deals. He has 65-cent JFET daughter boards. So I happen to love JFETs. I think they're one of the Mojo components. I won't build a pedal unless it's got some Mojo. So I'm talking germanium, not the diode, just transistor. I like JFETs. I'll build a JFET pedal. Maybe if it's something like a MOSFET clipper, like an MS10, I would do that. Um, I do like MOSFET clipping, especially when you combine it with JFET. I'm really hopeful about a germanium Rangemaster clone called the Omega Boost. It's supposed to solve the problem of the hiss. It's a treble booster that uses a JFET and a MOSFET combination. And like I said, I at this point, because of my experience level and because I've accomplished all my goals, I've built everything that I want to. In order to build a pedal, it has to either have a germanium transistor, has to have JFETs, has to have a MOSFET. Maybe that's like a plus the MOSFET deal. I know people love 4558 or 4552. I don't think anything special about that. But I really, really like super expensive high performance op amp. Burr Brown OP OPA 2134. Oh yeah, that's my jam. Germanium transistors. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, I do like the JFETs. I like these old. The first op amp they ever made was a LM741, and that has a low slew rate. And I get into these arguments with people who are electrical engineers or they've been to school for this type of technology, and they love to yell and scream at me and get into a personal type of argument with me when I'm just saying that if I build a circuit and I use the specific op amp IC that happens to have a real low slew rate, which is how fast it thinks. It's the first one they ever made, and it's crappy and nasty and lo-fi, and you use it in a distortion and it gives you something special. They will say you're wrong. They will want to fight to the death about me saying I like LM741 because the low slew rate adds to the distortion. And I stand by that. That's one of the Mojo parts that, like, you know what? I'll build it. If it's got that part in there, I know it's going to do something special. So for me, it's a pretty short list. I like JFETs. Maybe I might like some MOSFETs. I like germanium transistors, and I really like those those high current gobbler, high, when you read the statistic, the functionality of the specs is the numbers are higher and it gobbles more power. I'm a firm believer behind those circuits just sounding awesome. And same thing with germanium transistors. Boy, I love the range master is really where I've been, and I use a mid boost and another bass boost just after it. So it's a total of 3 boosts in the effects loop of my amp modeler. And that's how I get my tone. I'm not using any other pedal. I'm just using a treble boost with a mid boost right after it that I can turn on and off. Use it in conjunction with the always on treble boost. And there's a bass boost as well. So I'm going to be trying the Thorpe bass boost. But for pedal building, man, I love pedal PCB. I love me some Aeon PCBs. I love the Delic. If any of these projects happen to use JFETs, I'm going to have to go here and just buy these in bulk. That's important because they always use like 4 of the same JFET. So you need to just go here and buy like 40 of these and then go where they sell the actual transistor, the JFET, and get 40 of those, and then you can put them together. And those build into something called a Tillman or any type of preamp. And if you go over to Tata, they sell a PCB. Yeah, see, there it is, 99 cents. They've got these over a Delic 4 for 65 cents. Now, what's neat is on some of these newer effects, they're putting solder pads. You don't have to buy, if you like, this is a JFET. This uses one of those. The through-hole JFETs are gone. They're no longer on the market. If somebody's selling them, they're fakes, okay? So you might be able to find them, but they're expensive or rare, so it's better to get SMT, okay? And that's this tiny thing, and you solder that onto, you solder it onto this daughter board. And that's what I was saying about Delic, because those projects, this part, the JFET, on paper, if you look at how it behaves. This transistor, the JFET, behaves like a vacuum tube. So people really want to build effects with these JFETs, and that's what I'm saying. The project should have a germanium transistor, or it should have a JFET. I like the MOSFETs, especially in combination with the JFET, but I like the JFET. I like the expensive $6 op amp. And then I like that really ancient 741 noisy, low slew rate op amp. Those are my PD's mojo components. Now, if you buy this board, you don't have to get the adapter because it'll solder right onto the PCB. If you look at the solder extensions, they've got the same little pattern on them, you know, to put these things on there. Now, like I said, you buy the board in bulk, and then you get these parts, these little guys here, you get those in bulk. They look like that. And they'll be really cheap. And that replaces the through-hole JFET. And these are the magical tube transistors. Okay, guys, are you still with me? We have to, if we're going to build a guitar pedal, we need something where it has a special part in it so it can have more worth. If you explain what the component is and you have a basic understanding, you can create the illusion that it has some more worth to it. And you maybe get your money back because these things are so unbelievably expensive to put together now. But what's cool about this preamp board is when you look at the instructions, they give you a whole sheet where you can custom build it to a different frequency response. This is to make a Tillman. There's 3 Fetzer valve, and the Fetzer, that's like a Fender amp, an old Fender. Now the Stratoblaster, this is a built-in preamp for a Strat. It's matched up to match the Stratocaster sound. Sadowski is a bass guitar sound preamp, and the Bassman, again, is a Fender bass amp that guitarists actually love using the Bassman. So this would be guitar and bass over here. But like I said, you could custom build the preamp to any one of your performance needs, like general all frequency here, guitar here. This is Strat guitar. This here is bass guitar, and this would work great for a Les Paul, the Bassman. So kind of a neat idea of getting different circuits, different frequency response by changing the part values. What's great about these PCB projects, like I think the best one is the Plexitone. That is an awesome circuit. I have one of these. It's in a big box with 3 foot switches on it, and it's like having a stack with 2-channel gain and then a separate boost. So it's just an unbelievably great sounding distortion. Sounds like a Marshall sound. And there's 2 channels and a separate booster. That's the clean boost. This is an excellent pedal. I really like that one. So if you're starting out, take a look at what Tata's selling. This is a really good first option. And you just get everything here. You go to the bill of materials and you could just click on it and order it right at Tata, get everything you need. Of course, you're going to need to get an input output jack, a battery terminal, a stop switch, LED bezel, 2.1 mil DC port. But they have all of it. They have everything, including chassis, the Hammond boxes that are pre-powder coated, pick your color, with the holes drilled in the perfect places. So if you're going to build pedal, Tata is definitely the place you're going to want to check out and get some parts from them. They also have really good pricing, I have to say. Love My Switches is an American outlet. They've got all kinds of different selection of pedal merchandise there, stuff specifically for building pedals. Fuzzdog sells PCBs. He's in England, so there is shipping. He's got the smaller, more affordable PCBs, but they're still good, and his information is good. Delic is a little bit less on the information side. Maybe, you know what? Actually, no. Delic had really good info. I take that back. More limited selection, but they have some savings at Delic. Delic will save you some hard moolah. The Aeon stuff is really top shelf and a cool selection, but nobody beats Pedal PCB, and they are probably the king, I would say. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And like, I had a really weird problem with a pedal that I bought from them where the EEPROM chip failed, and they hooked me up repeatedly and ensuredly went the extra mile, way out of their way to make sure I was happy. So thank you, thank you, thank you to Pedal PCB. That's the place. Of course, unless you're talking about Tata, Delic. Really, I gotta say, Tagboard, Miro, these people over here, this is the place. I did a lot of Vero. Got really good at troubleshooting. Anyway, you guys, I'm glad you joined me for this talk about guitar pedals. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be more than willing to help you out, but it's better if you find my email, which P2Finger at Yahoo, or you can go and find it on this channel. I prefer to not communicate about technical stuff in a YouTube comment window. And if you're not willing to give me your email address, I'm not willing to give you advice on building your pedal. You know what I mean? It's give and take. So, best of luck with everything and all that you do. My only hope is that it fires up right on the first try. Hug your pets and peace.